Well, hey, you guys. So what if I told you it only takes me 5 minutes to budget every month? Now, that might sound too good to be true, but actually it is true. Now, obviously, a few other things have to be true as well. I still look at my every dollar budget every single day. And yes, I make changes to my budget throughout the month. Yes, Winston, my husband, and I, we are on the same page when it comes to our spending. We're checking in a lot. But also, it does only take about 5 minutes. Now, we've been doing it for about 15 years since we've been married. But again, the idea is that when you create a habit, something even like budgeting, it just becomes a part of your rhythm and you get better at it. So I know some of you guys are in the trenches right now when it comes to budgeting. Like you're like, oh my God, this is so hard. And maybe you've been working towards a really big financial goal for a while, or maybe you're stuck on a certain baby step. But whatever it looks like for you, it's always helpful to reevaluate your process every now and then. So today I want to share 3 ways you can simplify your budget. So first, let me explain where this all started for me. I saw my friend Dawn, who is Minimum Mom. You guys may know her channel or listen to her. But she was giving her take on a recent home organization trend called house hushing, which is very interesting. And this was kind of really founded by The Nester, who I've had on the show as well, which is so great. But if you're not familiar with this, house hushing is where you take everything out of a room in your house, except for just like the large furniture and rugs, curtains, that kind of thing. But you take everything out. And the idea is you start with a clean slate, only to bring back in items that truly spark joy, if you know what I mean, and that you only are really going to use regularly in that space. And sometimes the clutter in your house can just feel like noise in a way. Like it's just so noisy when you walk in. So that's where the hushing comes in. It's kind of like we're cleaning it. It's just a quiet room now with less clutter. So I thought, well, that could be really true with your budget too. I mean, like your living room or your kitchen, your budget is something that you're used to seeing every single day. And so it's easy to become blind a little bit to the chaos or the clutter of your budget. So here's how I recommend doing a little budget hushing if you're due for a financial reset. Step 1, eliminate every category of your budget except for your 4 walls. So 4 walls are food, shelter, utilities, transportation. So again, these things could include that you take out like subscriptions. And look, we are all human and sometimes we forget about subscription fees until they finally start adding up and you're like, oh my gosh. And so it may be worth it to wipe the slate clean and then figure out, hey, which ones do we actually use? Also, cable. I know this for the cruises. We pay you guys like $200 a month. And listen, and I need to do this. I've been saying this for like a year now. We need to cut it. We don't use it. Like we don't use it. And I don't know why I have this like need to be like, oh my gosh, but the Real Housewives like are on my DVR. And I know I can watch some other places, but there's just something about when you're in the rhythm and this is what you know, it's hard to change. And for me, it's cable, which I know is so stupid. But I'm like, if I just cut it out of the budget and out of my life, I'm probably not going to miss it, but I need to do that. So I'm saying that for me. Also, things like the YMCA or any other activity-related memberships. So Caroline, our middle, she plays soccer 3 months out of the year. And Winston used to go work out at the Y. But now we like kind of put some stuff in our garage. So that's where we work out. So we don't use that membership for the 9 other months. And guess what? We get charged because we don't cancel it after soccer season. So again, that's a little bit of that clutter that's in there. Also, Amazon spending. So this continues to be one of these places that, man, you can just spend so much. And the majority of what I buy on Amazon, I probably could technically live without. And so there's a little bit of that cleansing that could go on of like taking away the instant gratification purchases. And if you actually needed something, actually going to the store to buy it. And again, it's just to help reevaluate what's going on. All right, step 2 is adjust your savings category and see how much progress that you can make while you're budget hushing. So with all the clutter and the noise gone from your monthly expenses, you may have some extra cash to throw towards savings or investing for a bit. And once you start making progress in these bigger, more important financial areas, you suddenly stop missing all those random subscriptions that you never really use. So again, there's something powerful about seeing that extra margin. And for those of you that may have debt, maybe you throw it towards that. But there's something about seeing your savings pile up a little bit that just kind of gets you motivated. All right, step 3, do all of this on paper. So what I mean by that is you visually want to see your numbers out in front of you. So don't try to keep all your those details in your head. Because again, you're not going to budget well when you do that. And mapping out everything is such a game changer. And if you need a way to do this easily, you don't have to go back and actually use paper like we did back in the day. You can actually just use a great app. And EveryDollar is my favorite budgeting app out there. It really is. It simplifies everything. You can actually have it attached to your bank account. And so all of your transactions come in. You drag and drop them, keep up with your budget in the present, and it is fantastic. So you can go to everydollar.com/Rachel, create your first budget for free, and do that, you guys, because this is so huge. So once you reach the stage, take as long as you need. I recommend about a month, and then slowly start incorporating your high priority expenses back in. And the beauty of this budget hushing is that it's going to be unique to your situation, and you have the power to eliminate whatever spending you want. You can add things back in. It is up to you. Your budget is never meant just to be fixed, permanent, hard and fast. It is going to be evolving month to month, even throughout the month itself. And again, this all comes back to intentionality and simplicity, you guys. So listen, if you want to hear from me and Dawn chat about other ways to simplify your life and your home, be sure to check out our episode on the top 10 money wasters in our houses. And that is with Minimum Mom. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. Feeling like you have to buy the next thing to keep up with the Joneses is always going to be a no for me. But what I am here for is a list of affordable items that legitimately make your life easier. So today I'm going to be sharing 7 items under $50 that actually improved my life. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. Okay, by the way, if you need some last-minute Christmas ideas, stocking stuffers, all the things, this list might be the trick. So make sure to drop your favorite affordable item in the comments below, because I learned so much from you guys of what's out there in the world, because there's so much. And if you love it, I want to know about it. All right, first up for me, it's the best, is a nonstick skillet. Listen, I'm telling you, the non-Teflon, kind that's horrible for you, not that kind, but the one that's like a stone or whatever. I don't know. I found some on Amazon, and I'm telling you, it is like the best thing, because we make eggs all the time in my family, scrambled eggs. And we got 15 years ago, almost 16 years ago for our wedding, like the nice stainless steel. And all of you cooks out there are going to be like, oh, Rachel, it's because you didn't get it at this temperature and you didn't put the water droplets in and blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I just have to make scrambled eggs. Like, that's all I need to do in 4 minutes. So I don't have time to be a chef. I just need scrambled eggs. I need to clean that thing quick and I need to go. And legitimately, it's my favorite. So I replace them though, probably every 5 to 6 years, but it's okay because they're under $50 all day, every day. Thank you. All right. Number 2 is fast phone chargers. So something I learned recently, is that all cords are not created equal when it comes to the charging speed of them. Didn't know that till about 4 months ago, because I bought new charging cords because I wanted a long cord. Because if you knew me, you know I always had one of those that you just set your phone on. And it's great, but when your phone is at 5%, you got to charge it, but you still want to be on it. It was very tricky to hold the phone on the wireless charger thing. It just wasn't good. It got to a point that I was like, oh. And then I had this tiny little cord, and I had to lean over my bed. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm a grown woman who works. I can buy a long phone charger. So I bought it, and then I came back to my room 2 minutes later, and it was already 20% charged. And I was like, wait, what? And then it charged so fast. And I was telling my husband about it. I was like, this phone charger is amazing. He was like, yeah, well, you can get faster charging because of the watts, or I don't even know. These words I didn't understand. But I had no idea. So a long, fast phone charger, it'll change your life. If you're like me and we're in the dark, it's a good thing. Okay, number 3, Folex cleaner. So not to be dramatic, but this basically will clean anything. When I say anything, I'm saying anything. I mean, mud, wine, chocolate, whatever it is, you name it, it gets it out. And especially on fabric. That's its specialty. This thing, y'all, I'm telling you, I use it on our outdoor furniture. I use it on our couches because our kids will have even marker and that kind of thing. Wine, all of it, y'all. It is wild what this thing gets out. My mom is a believer. Most of the moms that I know are believers. It is fantastic. Get it. It'll change your life. All right, number 4. This is going to be my son's, but it became such a big deal that I had to put it on the list. is the Aldi mac and cheese. Stay with me, everyone. All right. We usually would get like the box mac and cheese. And if we go on a date night, this is what we make the kids when the babysitter comes over. Mac and cheese and chicken nuggets. Like that's their meal when we leave because they love it. They'll be happy. We're happy. It's great. Well, at Aldi, they had these individual like mac and cheese cups because Charles kept wanting more mac and cheese, but I didn't want to make an entire box all the time. And so he was eating it and he literally said, Mom, this is the best mac and cheese I've ever had. And the kid has been around. Like, I mean, he's had lots of mac and cheeses at nice restaurants and stuff, but like this was it. So now it's my kid's go-to is the single cup Aldi specifically mac and cheese. I don't get it. I love it for him though, all day. All right, before I share more, I do want to tell you about one of our sponsors, Fairwinds Credit Union. So the holiday season should be about peace and not payments. And that is a big reason why I love Fairwinds Credit Union, because they help you reach your money goals without debt. And with Fairwinds Smart Bundle, you can get a no-fee checking account, high-yield savings to grow your emergency fund, and the exclusive Ramsey Be Weird debit card. And so every time you swipe it, it's just a reminder that you're doing things differently with your money. So go to fairwinds.org/Ramsey today to open up your smart bundle and grab your exclusive Ramsey debit card. Debt is normal. Be weird. It's fantastic. And again, that's fairwinds.org/Ramsey. Now, I also want to tell you about one of our other sponsors, Delete Me. Because those holiday promos can be great, but with every newsletter sign up and coupon code, you're giving away your data. And that personal info can easily end up with data brokers who then sell it to spammers and scammers. And that is why I recommend Delete Me. The Delete Me privacy team digs through hundreds of those data broker sites to remove your data and keep it gone, which means fewer spammy texts and robocalls. So right now you can get 20% off at joindeleteme.com/Rachel with code Rachel at checkout. So do it today. That's joindeleteme.com/Rachel, code Rachel. All right, number 5, the automatic card shuffler. Yes, not for poker, but for Uno. No, really, my kids, Monopoly, Deal, Uno, like they're all into the card games, which I personally love. I love a good game. So it's really fun that the kids are actually at a season of life where we can like play with them and they're legitimately good. Like you genuinely want to beat them, where I'm like, no, like I'm not going easy on you. And then when they end up beating you, you're like, you're so smart. You're so smart. But we're shuffling all the time, all of it. And so finally Winston just ordered a card shuffler. And I was like, what is this thing? It's incredible. I mean, absolutely amazing. Now I love, old school shuffling, the bridge, you do the whole thing, but the card shuffler, it was fantastic. So if you're a big card user in your family, you're going to love it. All right. Number 6. Bougie hand sanitizer. Started with the influencers, went all the way down to my 5th grade daughter school lunchbox. That's right. All of my daughter's friends were talking about this hand sanitizer, and she was telling me about it. It's called Touchland is the brand. And yes, it's $14. And I was like, this is ridiculous. But she said at the beginning of school year, Mom, I want to spend my money on it. I really want one of these. And I was like, she's like, it really is great, Mom. And I was like, okay, if that's what you want to spend it on, that's up to you, girl. Go for it. And then she got it in and I used it. And I'm kind of a believer, y'all. It's like, instead of the sticky, nasty hand sanitizer feel, it's like silky. It's like really smooth and it doesn't smell. It actually has a good scent to it. So I'm a believer. I know it sounds crazy, $14 for hand sanitizer, but I guess I'm bougie like my 5th grader, but I like it. All right, number 7, no-show socks. My mother-in-law gave these to us actually in our stockings. Yes, she still does stockings for us adults. Thank you, Helen. Appreciate that. And they were my favorite stocking stuffer. They were like these really nice no-show socks. And so I ordered more. They're on Amazon. I'll make sure to get a link for you. But it's one of those things that you're like, yes, this is like such a small thing in life. But ladies, we know in the winter, we're wearing the no-show socks all the time with our boots and our flats and all of it. And so getting a good one that actually stays on your foot is really important, because the really cheap ones, I feel like end up folding or whatever. So these were great. I loved them. Okay, where you can find even more affordable purchases that are actually worth it? Ramsey's Cyber Monday sale. Yes, it starts today, December 1st, and runs through December 7th. I will leave a link down below so you can shop the Rachel Cruze wallet for more than 50% off. and to hear a few things that I stopped buying altogether. You can check out my episode 8 Things I Stopped Buying, and you should too. You can click right here, or if you're on podcasts, I'll put a link below. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. Well, hey, you guys. All right, I hate to be the bearer of old news, but in case you've been living under a rock, almost everything has gotten more expensive recently. Yeah, have you noticed? We've all caught a little bit of a break, specifically, with eggs and toilet paper, over the last year or two. But overall, inflation is still sticking around. And one area that this is majorly affecting is the cost of insurance. So everything from car insurance to health insurance to home insurance, the cost of these continue to increase, it seems like, by the day. And it is so frustrating. My sister, she went to go renew their homeowner's insurance. She was like, can you believe this? I mean, it's true. I mean, we're all seeing it. So today I'm going to give you a heads up on what to watch out for and talk through some solutions when it comes to this issue. And stick around because I'll be sharing 2 types of insurance that people tend to skip, but ones that you need. All right, first, I started thinking about this topic when someone called the Ramsey Show and they said they couldn't get their car covered by any insurance companies. And I was hosting the Ramsey Show with Dr. John Deloney that day. And we both were like, what? Really? Are you sure? We were totally questioning the guy. And he was like, no, really, really. So then finally we looked it up after we got done with the call. And he was right. There's a specific model of a Kia that had a bad track record with safety features or part repairs. And basically, insurance companies refused to get involved because they didn't want to pay for the high risk and everything. And so, it was crazy. So then I knew, that was kind of going on. And then some other insurances were going up. So I was like, we just need to look at this and get the facts. So let's look at some recent stats just to wrap our head around all of this. According to the S&P Global Market Intelligence, insurance companies aim to raise home insurance premiums by more than 11% last year on average. And in addition to that, car insurance premiums are now starting to outpace inflation. So, for example, Farmers Insurance raised its private auto rates to double digits in 43 states last year. And health insurance rates are rising, and an estimated 8.4% of Americans, aka 27.6 million, were going without health coverage in 2022, according to Forbes. So what happens as a result of inadequate coverage when things happen in life? Debt. Debt ends up being the safety net for many people's situations. So whether it's health insurance, car insurance, all of it. And now medical debt is really common. And honestly, it is so sad. It's actually the number one cause of bankruptcy is medical debt. And you think about that, it's so sad. And we can't fix the health care situation in America through this video. But I think we can all say that it does suck that, in order to take care of ourselves, it costs a lot of money and you have to have adequate insurance to make sure that it's covered, because if that doesn't happen, then you are paying a premium out of pocket and it leaves a lot of people in financial distress, and it's really, really difficult. And so what I want to do, though, is talk through some practical solutions to this problem in a minute. But first, let's look at the why behind rising insurance rates as a whole. So there's a few reasons for this. Number one, insurance execs claim that they're being forced to raise rates because that it's legitimately required because of the lifestyle norms of people today. The cost it takes to take care of things like your car being replaced or things going on in the healthcare industry. Because things are more expensive, they're having to charge more. Number two, an increase in natural disasters over the last couple of years, along with the increase of population, has affected supply and demand. And number three, the culprit that we can all agree on, inflation. So clearly this is a challenge for so many people, but we're feeling it even in insurance. Now listen, I am not here to invalidate the struggle because it is very real, but I do want to offer some solutions that help, because I want you to be able to control what you can control. And sadly, we can't always control what the insurance companies are going to do, but we can control what we do with our money. Now, one of those things you can control is actually one of our sponsors, which is Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM is a faith-based alternative to health insurance, and it makes healthcare more affordable and allows its members to share each other's healthcare costs. And it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. So step 1, choose the healthcare provider that you want. Step 2, submit your eligible bills. And step 3, get reimbursed. CHM members take care of your eligible medical bills. And with no networks and the freedom to choose your healthcare provider, CHM is the best option for Christians who want to take care of their families and help other believers. So to find out more, go to chministries.org/budget. All right, here are 3 things that I want you to do ASAP that are going to pay off big time. Number 1, ditch unnecessary coverage. So insurance is an important part of life, but there is coverages, you guys, you don't need. So things like whole life insurance, you need life insurance, but whole life is so expensive. Accidental death insurance, you don't need that. Mortgage protection insurance. Any insurance that is for kids, okay? So a lot of people try to sell like a whole life policy for your child or things like that. Gerber insurance, all of this stuff, you don't need that stuff. So when you take those things off the table, if you have them, that's going to save you some money. Number 2, be diligent in asking questions. So whether it's phone calls to your doctor's office or a quick meeting with your HR rep at work, asking questions specifically around the health insurance stuff can be really finicky, but really important because sometimes these insurance companies just bank on you not asking questions. They send you the bill and you just keep on moving. But we've heard so many stories of people that keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and they get their bill lowered because whether they found something in the fine print or there's errors or there's things going on. Again, ask questions, dig in, and that could save you some money. And number 3, price out what's best for your family. Time is money, people. And there are pros and cons to different coverage packages with different insurance companies. So don't forget that you hold the power when you decide your options and you get to say, hey, which option do I want? So if you and your spouse maybe have different benefits packages between both of your jobs, sit down and say, hey, is it better for you to take the family and the kids on yours and I'll go as an individual? Or is it better for us to come together just to see, hey, what's going to save us? You know, even if it's $200 a month, that's $2,400 in a year. So it's worth the trouble to do the math and figure that out. And spoiler alert, if you got extra money, that's margin that you have to use for your life or pay off debt or save, and that's great. Now, before I share the 2 types of insurances that most people skip most often, let's circle back to our chat about debt a little bit earlier. Because if you're someone that feels the weight of the past when it comes to specifically medical debt or an emergency expense that you weren't prepared for, here's what I recommend doing. Number 1, get an emergency fund ASAP. So this is a $1,000 emergency fund. And then number 2, I want you to start paying off your debt. Now, again, if medical debt is one of those in there, do what we talked about earlier and ask some questions. See, hey, are there places here that the bills can be lowered at any portion? And even if they go into collections, which some of them do, sometimes you can negotiate with the collection company. Get everything in writing if you can do that. But again, this is something that it's so burdensome on people because it carries such a sad story usually with it. But here's the thing, if it's a mountain, you can take it a little bit at a time. And, you know, just as I see people with student loan debt in the 6 figures, but they pay it off, it takes a while, but they focus on it, they put extra money towards it, and they actually start to see it lower and lower and lower. That can happen with any type of debt, you guys. So again, having a plan puts you in control, which again, I think is so key, and it's just one step at a time. All right, you guys, the 2 insurances that you want to make sure that are in place. Number 1, if you are a renter, please get renter's insurance. It is very inexpensive. I mean, I've seen them as low as like $12, $20 a month. Okay, they're very inexpensive, but get it, because if something happens, if there's a fire, you know, a natural disaster, whatever, and everything is gone, that's all your personal belongings, like making sure that all that's covered, and it's really inexpensive. It may not happen, but again, it's something to protect yourself. And then number 2, identity theft insurance. So this is a big one too in our world that is so digital, that our data is out there. There is so much going on, especially even that we pay online so much with stuff. Like everything is out there, making sure that your identity is protected. And Xander Insurance is a great place to do this. And just to have somebody on your team that if it happens or when it happens, because I feel like identity theft is so common now, they take care of that for you, which is great. Now, you want to make sure that you're protected with all the insurances that you need. So I recommend using Ramsey's Insurance Checkup. I will leave a link below to make sure that you check that out and that you're covered in all the areas of life that you need to be covered. And for more clarity on what you should and shouldn't be wasting your money on, make sure to check out my episode with Minimal Mom on things that we will not spend money on in 2024. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. If Black Friday can feel a little overwhelming, but also feels like something you should take advantage of because it's happening, this episode is for you. Because here are 5 tips to keep in mind when you are Black Friday shopping. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. I will say Black Friday has changed over the years, you guys. If you remember, back in the day before the internet, you lined up in the freezing cold at the store. Now, I never did this, but my cousins did. I mean, I had a lot of people in my life that did Black Friday shopping. And now, some people still go in person just for the nostalgia of it. And some deals are only in person, but also online is your friend as well. But regardless of wherever you are shopping, these are going to help. So number 1, I always ask myself, do I really need that item, or am I experiencing a little bit of FOMO? Like I mentioned earlier, it feels like Black Friday is something that you just do, like you participate in. As an American, this is what we do. But in reality, you may not need to purchase a bunch of new stuff. You really may not. And yeah, maybe you just say, I'm going to just browse and look, but then you get sucked into the deals, you get sucked into it all. So listen, just make sure your intentions are good. Like if you know ahead of time that you want to buy something, that's great, but don't feel like you have to participate if you don't need stuff. All right, number 2, make sure online sales are actually sales. So my friend George Camel uses camelcamelcamel.com. No affiliation with George Camel. It's a C camel. George is a K. They're not connected at all, but it is called camelcamelcamel.com. And it tracks Amazon prices and sales, because if you're not careful, Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales, they're not really sale prices. Like they say oh yeah, you're getting so much off, but you're really not. So if you can find other websites to help track and know if you're actually getting a deal, that's helpful. Number 3, take advantage of Black Friday for big items. So if you are in the market for a new laptop or a TV, or, I got my AirPods I think it was like maybe 2 years ago during a Black Friday sale. Like if there's stuff that costs a lot of money and you're like, oh yes, furniture, whatever it is, take advantage of it, because they usually do have some great deals. But again, don't be swayed by all the smaller items that you don't need, okay? So don't stock up on 72 candles just because they're 10% off on Black Friday. Don't do that. Don't do that. All right, before I share more, I do want to tell you about one of our amazing sponsors, Delete Me. You guys, data brokers have gotten more creative and are actively becoming more of a threat. And they are out there on the internet collecting your data and selling it to other data brokers. And that puts you at risk for scams and fraud. And it is not worth it. It's not worth having your personal information, things like even your kids' names, like everything is floating out there. And that is why I use and I love Delete Me, because Delete Me removes your data and helps protect you from phishing, harassment, and other online threats. Your family's safety and financial security are way too important to leave exposed. So go to joindeleteme.com/Rachel for 20% off. Bring your monthly cost to under $9, or just click the link in the description. All right, number 4, always ask about price matching. So you can actually use online price comparisons to your advantage. So if you are at Target or Walmart, I don't know, and you're somewhere and you're like, oh, look, the other store has a better price, always ask, because sometimes, a lot of times, they will match the price, the lower price, which is great, which means you don't have to get back in your car and drive to a different store. All right, number 5, budgeting. Yes, you knew I was going to be talking about budgeting if we're talking about shopping, because the budget is going to guide how much money you have to spend on big holidays like this, right? And again, if you want to take advantage of Black Friday, that's not bad. Just make sure you're being intentional, and the budget allows you to do it. The budget is the one that says, yes, you have the money for it, or you don't. And so you're able to shop and enjoy Black Friday without feeling stressed or that you're overspending. I use every dollar when it comes to budgeting and just my overall financial picture. It is amazing. I'll put a link down below and make sure to check it out. All right, if you haven't seen my episode on how to actually enjoy your life, even on a budget, you definitely want to check that out next. You can click right here, or if you're listening on podcasts, I'll leave a link below. All right, you guys remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. So the real estate world has a lot of kind of confusing terms, and it can feel like buying a home is very intimidating because it's like this whole other part of life. And if you're not familiar with it, it can feel very overwhelming. And so it's important to know these terms and understand how housing works before you get into it, because for a lot of people, this is one of the biggest financial decisions that they're going to make. And when you buy a home, usually it's the largest purchase you'll make in your lifetime. So today we're going to talk about the basics. And this is everything from what the principal means to interest to PMI. All of these terms we're going to talk about because when they're less mysterious, it's much more approachable when you go to buy a home. And before we jump in, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. All right, we're going to start off with the basics. What exactly is a mortgage? Well, a mortgage is a type of loan that you take out for a home. And a mortgage is the one type of debt that Ramsey says is okay, right? Because we are all about being debt-free. But when it comes to your mortgage, that is the one type of debt it is okay to take on. And there's lots of different types of mortgages out there, but your mortgage, the basic definition, it is the money that you borrow to buy a house. All right, what percentage of your take-home pay should be going towards housing costs? So when you go to buy a home and you take out a mortgage, they're going to break your mortgage up into payments. And so it's really important to look at that payment per month and make sure it's a good ratio for the income that you're bringing in. Because if it's too high and so much of your money's going to your mortgage, you're not going to have a lot of money left to do things like pay off debt or to save or to live off of. And so the 25% rule is always what I go by. And this includes HOA, insurance, and all of that. Okay. So 25% of your budget really should be, of your income should be going towards housing, which is a mortgage or rent. Another question we get a lot is what kind of mortgage loan does Ramsey recommend? So we always want to do a 15-year fixed rate mortgage. So there's a lot of different types of mortgages out there. There's balloon mortgages, adjustable rate, all these different ones. But a fixed rate locks you into a rate that you know forever and ever, amen, that is your rate. And you can do a 15-year or a 30-year when it comes to fixed rate mortgages. And the 30-year is very, very common because your payment is less. You don't get as great of an interest rate, but you're spreading out those payments over 30 years. So it's much more digestible for a lot of people. But we recommend the 15. So cutting that 30 in half because I want you to get out of debt as quickly as possible. And so this really forces you into a rhythm of getting out of debt very quickly. So the 15-year fixed rate mortgage is what we recommend. How do you know when you're ready to buy a home? So when you're going to buy a home, you want to be financially in a good spot. This is one of the biggest mistakes people make is, maybe living paycheck to paycheck. They don't have a lot of wiggle room and then they go and buy a home. And when you're a homeowner, it's very expensive. You have to pay for a lot of different things that you may not be thinking about versus when you're renting, the landlord covers a lot of those things. And so, you're ready to buy a home when you have all of your debt paid off. So all of your consumer debt is paid off. You're debt-free and you have a fully funded emergency fund. And that's going to be 3 to 6 months of expenses. So if you're starting out and maybe you're renting right now and you have some debt and you have no money saved, again, it may be a couple of years till you get into the home buying process, but when you don't have payments and when you have money saved in the bank and you go and buy a home, it is much less stressful process. And again, it gives you peace where your home is a blessing, not a curse. Now, once you have that fully funded emergency fund, you do want to save up for a down payment. So for first-time home buyers, saving 5% to put down for your home for a down payment is what we'd recommend. All right, before I tell you about specific costs included and not included in a mortgage, I want to tell you about our sponsor, Christian Healthcare Ministries. When you go against what society thinks is, quote, normal, it might feel weird at first, but that is okay because we want you to do things that are weird if that means you're doing things intentionally, including how you spend your healthcare dollars. And one way to be intentional is with Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM isn't health insurance. They're a health cost-sharing ministry that's helped hundreds of thousands of families like yours take care of healthcare costs without sacrificing their freedom. Programs start as low as $98 a month, so find out more and join at chministries.org/budget. That's chministries.org/budget. All right, so what are all the costs that are included in a mortgage payment? So first is the principal. So the remaining balance that you owe on your home after the down payment. So let's say you bought a $350,000 house, let's say you put 20% down, which is $70,000, then you'd have $280,000 left on your principal to pay off over 15 years, or if you took out a 30-year. So the principal is just that. It is the exact loan without interest, the exact loan that you have left to pay off. Then you add on interest, and interest is extra money that you pay to the bank for borrowing money from them to purchase your home. So there's different types of interest out there. We kind of mentioned this earlier. The fixed rates means, again, it is what it is. So if you take out a loan and mortgage rates are at 6%, you have 6% for 15 years. If you got in early in the market a few years ago, maybe your rate is like 3%, which is amazing. And it's a fixed rate. It's 3% regardless if rates go up. It is what you have. And again, there's the adjustable rate, which means it fluctuates and goes up and down. There's different types of loans in this, but again, the fixed rate is what you want. You do not want your rate going up and down. You want it fixed. So for example, if you have a fixed interest rate of 5.2% on that $280,000, you're going to pay an extra $273,500 in interest over 30 years, which basically is double the amount of your original loan. So that's the 30-year. Okay, so think about that, you guys. I mean, you're paying more in interest basically than what you were paying for the house of what you put down, which is crazy. But if you did a 15-year loan, then you'd only pay $123,800 in interest on that same loan. So you're paying way less interest because you're paying off that loan early. And if mortgage rates drop, you can always refinance your loan to get a lower monthly payment or shorten the life of your loan to pay it off faster. So a lot of people will do this, again, depending on what rates are doing. But if you get it in now, and let's say, your rate is 6-7%, then in maybe 5-6 years, it may drop back down. Who knows? So let's say it does to 3%. We'll just dream for a second. You can go and refinance and get that lower interest rate. So you have to pay closing costs and a couple other things, but in the end, you end up saving money long-term when you do that, especially depending on how deep you are in the mortgage. All right. So if you want to run some of these numbers, maybe on your own, maybe for your own mortgage, just to see, make sure to check out the Ramsey Mortgage Calculator. I will put a link down below for you to try, but it's always fun to kind of fool around with that. Or if you are going to buy a home, put some numbers in and kind of see, okay, what can we afford? Now, you're also going to pay property taxes. So by law, land and buildings have to be reappraised every 6 years. So property taxes often change according to that timeline. So you have to pay taxes on the land. That is what it is. So you can do this. Usually it's wrapped up within your mortgage payment. But let's say you're on baby step 7 and you paid it off, then that property tax will come at another date. And usually you can just pay for that in full. There's also homeowners insurance that you're going to have to get. And it's common to bundle home and auto to include that again in your mortgage payments. Every single month, you can do that. There's also PMI, which is private mortgage insurance. And if you have less than 20% down for a down payment, you're going to pay PMI, which can run a couple $100 a month. I mean, depending on what your mortgage is. And so once you hit that 20% of the principal, then you don't have to pay that anymore. But this is basically insurance for the bank or for the mortgage company that you loaned the money from to make sure that they get their money. All right, here is what is not in a mortgage payment. Your HOA payment. So if you are part of an HOA, yeah, you're going to have to pay that extra. There's utilities. So think about water, gas, electric, cable and internet, maintenance costs, because that is some big ticket items if you don't take care of those. So be sure to prepare for all of these costs in addition to your mortgage payments when you're buying a home and you're using that calculator, because again, it is so understated that when you buy a home, you have a lot of other aspects that you're going to have to pay for. So it can be very, very expensive. That's why I want you in a good place financially when you do this. Now, if you want more mortgage hacks, make sure to check out my episode, Easy Ways to Pay Off Your Mortgage Early. You can click right there. Or if you're listening on podcast, click the link in the description. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. Well, it seems like there's a new headline about inflation every single day. And don't get me wrong, we all feel the pain in the grocery store, like when we go in. We know it is happening and we know that people are really, really struggling with this. But we only have control over so much when it comes to our life. And sadly, the percentage of inflation, we don't have control over that. But today I do want to talk about how to afford 4 essential expenses, is what we call our 4 walls, that are non-negotiables even during inflation. Now, before we jump in, make sure to subscribe and share this episode with a friend. All right, first, let's clarify the 4 expenses that are non-negotiables for everyone. That is food, housing, utilities, and transportation. So let's go through each of these categories and find ways that we can beat inflation because, let's be honest, we have to do all 4 of these. All right, now let's go over some ways to beat inflation when it comes to food. So number 1, shop around for deals. That may mean you hit multiple grocery stores, but you guys, deals are great when it comes to coupons or BOGO deals, and finding like what you actually need and shop around those deals is so helpful. And just know like what grocery store you walk into will determine how much money you pay. It's amazing. So find those budget-friendly grocery stores, and when they have deals running, you're golden. Next is to buy food that has more bang for your buck. So think about this, like apples and bananas are going to be relatively cheap in the produce section. And you don't always have to buy meat for every single meal, right? You can find ways to kind of cut back on that because meat's going to be very expensive. Canned foods, it's going to last for months, won't go to waste. But think about, dry foods like pastas or rice. Those are also some great foods to buy that will have a long shelf life because there's so much waste that happens when we grocery shop. So eliminating that is really key. Now, for a more detailed idea of meal ideas and tips, I will put my meal planning guide for you down below. So make sure to check that out. Next is to cut out non-essential wants at the grocery store. So those specialty popsicles that are like $12 with 4 of them in a box, like just say no to that stuff, right? There's so many things that we add on that we just don't need. And if you're looking for ways with food to save specifically at the grocery store, this is a great thing to think about. Now, I do want to take a minute and talk about one of our sponsors, Christian Healthcare Ministries. You guys, when you go against what society thinks is, quote, normal, like avoiding debt, for example, it might feel weird at first, and that is totally okay. We want you to be weird if that means you're doing things intentionally, including how you spend your healthcare dollars. And one way to be intentional is with Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM isn't health insurance. They're a health cost-sharing ministry that's helped hundreds of thousands of families like yours take care of healthcare costs without sacrificing their freedom. Programs start as low as $98 a month. So find out more and join at chministries.org/budget. That's chministries.org/budget. All right, let's look at housing. Oh, this is a tough one because sometimes it's like you're fixed, right? You're in a house, you got a mortgage, but there's some ways to get creative. Now, if you are single, a great way to do this is to get a roommate. So if you're renting and there's another bedroom, I know it's not fun. If you're living on your own and you enjoy it, you're like, oh my gosh, but listen, that could cut your housing in half. Possibly even when it looks like living with family, people are doing this a lot. They're moving back home. But, when you do this, I would say to have an end date because I think being out on your own is really important when it comes just to being an adult overall. But if there's some ways to save money in this for a period of time, you could look into that. Number 2 is to sign a longer lease. So if you're renting, some landlords will lower the monthly payment if they know that you're going to be there for the long term. Number 3 is to move to a more affordable area. This is a big way to save money. Everyone, usually when you get closer to a city, the more expensive things are. But the further out you can be, you'll probably save some money. Also, for a season, number 4 is to temporarily downsize. And again, not always fun if you're used to living in a certain square footage. But if you're really struggling with rent, find something smaller. And again, it's going to help you. My sister, they were doing this for a season because they were doing some work on their house. And they moved, to a significantly smaller area. And she was like, it's really encouraging to know, like, you can do this. Like, so if you're in a position that you're like, yes, we have to move to something smaller for a period of time, for whatever reason, it's always good to know you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Next is utilities. So number 1 on this one is don't run appliances until they're full. So think about your dishwasher or doing a load of laundry. That will save water and energy. Number 2 is adjust the thermostat when you're away. We do this all the time. When we leave to go out of town, we'll have the air not on as much, during the summer or the heat with the winter. Remember to turn it back on as soon as you get home because it may not be very comfortable when you get home. But again, it's going to save you money. Number 3 is to turn off lights. Don't leave your water running unnecessarily. It's like these small little habits. Turn off the light when you leave a room. It will save you money. All right, let's look at transportation. Number 1 is to join gas reward programs. So Kroger Plus, Costco gas is usually cheaper than other places around. But these reward programs are great because you will get a better deal when it comes to gas. Number 2 is just go around the corner for cheaper gas. I'm terrible at this. Winston's good at it. He looks at gas prices and I don't. But it is amazing. When you go to a more affluent area of a city, it's going to be more expensive. So maybe you drive a little ways down the interstate and half a mile even, and that can save you $5 to $10 when you're filling up your tank. Number 3 is to carpool or use public transportation. This is a great way to minimize the transportation costs out there. If you're able to do it, it's great. Number 4 is share a car with your spouse. One-car family can be difficult. I know, especially if you're in an area that you have to be driving, but a lot of families do this for a season, especially if you're trying to get out of debt and like you're selling a car because it has a crazy payment on it. People do this all the time and they survive. They eventually will go back to a 2-car family, but for a season, this could be a great option. All right, for more tips on how to spend your money the right way, make sure to check out my episode on home upgrades that are and aren't worth your money. You can click here, or if you're listening on podcast, click the link in the description. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. Well, hey, you guys, so think about this with me for just a second. What's the last thing that you bought that you really convinced yourself you were going to use and you didn't? Well, for me, it was an entire array of running gear for a new hobby that I thought I was going to do. And spoiler alert, it didn't happen. And yes, that was money wasted, lesson learned. But listen, I had high hopes. My intention was good. But hey, we're all going to do better. We can do this, you guys. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But I also want to talk about the why behind this pattern and why so many of us struggle with that. So why do we buy things that we don't need? What's really the root issue, and how do we fix it? Plus, stick around to hear the one purchase that is always worth the money, no matter your current financial situation. All right, I started thinking about this topic when I came across another video of someone with giant, piles of books around their house, and it really made me laugh because, she had like hundreds of books. And she said she either had never read or no longer needed them. And my thought was, well, that's kind of ridiculous, but then also very relatable, because how and why do we accumulate so much stuff only to have a pile of it to clean out and donate months or even years later? Listen, contentment is part of it, and comparison culture and contentment, they're like BFF. But when you boil it down even further, there's something called aspirational spending that I think is really interesting. And this is when you aspire to do something. It means that you want to do it. You're hopeful that you will do it, but you haven't actually done it. So you have not undergone, the necessary transformations of that goal yet. And it doesn't mean that you can't or you won't get there eventually, but it has not become a reality. For me, I, get this right. Sometimes I get this wrong. I've started doing cold plunges. I may have told you all about this on the show already. Listen, I'm on trend, and it was miserable at first. It still is miserable. It's very difficult, but there's a lot of benefits, and there's something for me, like mentally, to be like, I can do this. I can do this. Now, Winston went and bought a legit cold plunge. We've had it for probably about 5 weeks now. But we've been doing this for over 6 months, and we actually started doing it in our bathtub. And we'd fill our bathtub up with ice. And once we did that for like 4 or 5 months, we're like, okay, this becomes a routine. This is something that we are actually going to stick with. Then we're like, okay, now let's save up and invest in like a really nice one, because we know that we're going to do it, right? The habit is already established. Now, with aspirational spending, it's the opposite, okay? And I'm guilty of this too. Now, before I spill the beans on the aspirational spending that really got the best of me, I want to tell you about a faith-based alternative to health insurance that can really make healthcare more affordable, and that is Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM allows members to share each other's healthcare costs, and it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Step 1, choose the healthcare provider you want. Step 2, submit your eligible bills. And step 3, get reimbursed. CHM members that take care of your eligible medical bills, and with no networks and the freedom to choose your healthcare provider, CHM is the best option for Christians who want to take care of their families and help other believers. So find out more at chministries.org/budget. All right, like I mentioned earlier, a while back, I convinced myself, that I was going to be a runner, right? I get in these health moments in life. And again, the cold plunge, that was good. Like, let's just be honest. I didn't splurge for the big nice one and then hope I did it, right? We did that in the right order. This whole running thing, it was the opposite order. I woke up one day and I was like, I'm going to run a marathon before I turn 30. So this was years and years ago. And I went to a store called Fleet Feet. I don't know. I think they have them like around the country, but they like watch how you run. They look at your arches and you buy like really nice shoes. I bought 6 pairs of expensive socks. I got some running shorts, a couple running tops, and I was like, I'm gonna be a runner. But I hadn't run yet, and I'd gotten all my stuff. And I remember I was like, oh my gosh, okay. I have my schedule printed out. My friend, Christy Wright, she's a big runner, so she was like coaching me, called her Coach Christy, and like did my first little run, then second, and third, and then I had my first long run, which was 1.5 miles. And I ran like a fourth of a mile, and I got there, and I thought, I hate this. Like, this is terrible. I hate running. I'm not a runner. I actually don't want to do this, and I quit, and I walked back to my car. I didn't even run back to my car. I just walked back to my car, got in and left, and that was it. And I still have those tennis shoes, and I still see them, and I'm like, yeah, there they are. Lesson learned. You know, sometimes you think if I just spend the money and have the stuff, I'm going to become that, right? But that doesn't always happen. It usually doesn't happen. So don't go and buy a bunch of high-end running gear or books or camping gear or whatever it may be to keep you thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to go get all this and become that person. It doesn't happen. So when you spend on behalf of you that does not exist yet, you usually end up spending more on stuff you don't need. And again, you don't even know if you're going to end up using it all. So if you're consistently trying to fill a void with a new purchase that can only give you a temporary high, you're allowing yourself this wish list for the future, this dream that you have. And what's going to happen is going to actually dictate your finances in the present. And that's not a great place to start. So I would say, change yourself first, then save up the cash to enhance those hobbies and habits that you've already built up. And then it's great. But there's more to financial stability than just saying no and being patient. And it happens to be one of the aspirational purchases that I can actually get behind, and that is Financial Peace University. So if you're not familiar with FPU, it is 9 lessons that walks through everything you need to know step by step on how to build wealth successfully the right way and get yourself in a position where you're out of debt and you have money saved. And this has been around for over 30 years. It has helped millions of people, you guys, get out of debt and do all of this. And it's just great. So if you want that basic knowledge, make sure to give it a try. You can click the link below. And while you're at it, download EveryDollar, our budgeting app, to get you started in this process of making a budget every month and having that be a goal monthly. So you can go to everydollar.com/Rachel to check that out. And if you haven't seen my episode on 7 things I'm not buying right now, make sure to check that out as well. And remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. Well, hey, you guys. So no matter what the latest stats are saying when it comes to inflation or the housing market, one thing that has always been true is that too many people are living paycheck to paycheck. And this has always been the case ever since I've been in this world for 15 years of personal finance. It's always a high percentage of people. And here's the deal. At all income levels, all ages, we see that this can be true because people can stretch their income so far to basically like exactly what they need. And then there's no margin left over, which tells me for sure it's not always about the money that's the problem. Sometimes it's about the person handling the money, because building wealth has always been about behavior more than a specific dollar amount. So today I want to share exactly what I mean by all of this. And here are 9 steps to stop living paycheck to paycheck and finally achieve some peace around your money. And stick around because number 9 is more mental than tactical. And it may be something that you've never considered before. So make sure you hear that one out. All right, let's get going. So step 1 to stop living paycheck to paycheck is to get on a budget. Now, if you've been following me at all, you know this is always in my top, tips always with stuff, because this is the thing, you guys. The budget is the thing that is going to help you have a plan for your money. Because I think it's one of the biggest mistakes people make is they're not intentional with their money. They're not sure exactly where every single dollar is going. And then what ends up happening is you just end up spending without realizing where or what you're spending on. And then naturally that paycheck to paycheck lifestyle can continue. But when you can plan out where things are going, where your money is going, then you can cut back on different areas intentionally to create that margin and stop living paycheck to paycheck. So if you have not made a budget with EveryDollar, make sure to do that. You can go to everydollar.com/Rachel and make sure to create your first budget if you haven't already, because this is going to help you, again, get out of that cycle. All right, step 2 is to take care of your 4 walls. So these are the 4 most important things that you have to have in our world. We talk about needs versus wants, and a lot of our wants have kind of drifted into our needs. So do you really want to take those apart and focus on what you need in life and put that at the top of your budget? Again, these are your 4 walls. It's food, shelter, utilities, and transportation. So those are the 4 things that you have to survive, to at least have this foundation under you to know, okay, everything, my house isn't going to be taken away, or it's not that I'm behind on rent, or my lights are getting cut off. Like all of that stuff puts you in a really bad tailspin. So again, making sure your food, shelter, utilities, and transportation are covered first and foremost. And then on your budget, it's everything else. All right, step 3 to stop living paycheck to paycheck is to cut extra expenses. So if you have things in your life, again, this could be some wants that have kind of like merged with needs. Really, take those apart and say, okay, what are things that I don't have to survive? These are streaming services, memberships, subscriptions, eating out, shopping, going on Amazon, on the Amazon app. Like these kind of things, sometimes it's like we just end up spending money because it's just there. And when you trim all that back, even if it's, $200-$300 a month, that's significant, you guys. It really is. So cutting back things that you don't need is going to help you. Step 4 is to start an emergency fund. So it is so easy to live paycheck to paycheck because if something happens, and if you have any margin, you just dip right into that and you just build no savings. So having savings is huge. So your emergency fund is really your safety net between you and life. So if you are finding margin in your budget, this is the first thing I want you to do is I want you to get a $1,000 emergency fund. Having cash in the bank and letting you be your emergency fund is so massive when it comes to cutting the cycle. And then once you have that and you pay off debt, then you can bump that up to 3 to 6 months of expenses saved in the bank. Step 5 is to ditch debt. That's right. Get it out of here, you guys. I mean, if you cut out a car payment that's $600 a month, you pay off your student loans, that could be $300 a month. Like you start to add up some of these payments. And if that's money back in your pocket, that could be $1,000 easily in just payments that you're paying out. So getting out of debt is really huge. But how I want you to do that is by the debt snowball. And this is where you're going to list out all of your debts, smallest to largest, regardless of the interest rate, pay minimum payments on everything and attack that smallest debt first. Then once that's paid off, all the money you're putting towards that over to your second smallest debt. And you keep moving up until you're debt free. And we find people doing the debt snowball method get out of debt in 18 to 24 months on average, which seems insane because there can be so much debt. But listen, if you cut out everything in your budget, you take an extra job, like you create some serious sacrifice for a short amount of time. It's amazing what can happen with all that momentum. And then once you don't have payments, you have margin, and that paycheck to paycheck living really does stop. All right, step 6 is to increase your income. So I just mentioned this when it comes to getting out of debt, and that could be taking on a side hustle, like whatever you have to do again to create some of that extra income is big. But I think what's really key is you want to get to a place where you don't feel like you have 2 side hustles and your main job just to survive on your basic, basic living expenses. So being able to look at your actual career and like the job that you have and saying, hey, am I getting paid market value? Maybe there's another opportunity with a different company that would pay me more. Some of these questions start asking yourself because you can get a large bump in salary. And again, don't just chase the money constantly, but make sure you're getting paid for what you're worth. Step 7 is to live below your means. So you have to be in a habit of living below your income, because if you don't and you continue to live at your income or right above it, then you're never going to get out of that paycheck to paycheck cycle. It's going to be this constant, like, we are spending what we have versus saying, hey, this is what we're making and we're not going to spend 10% of it, 8% of it, like whatever it is, like find even a percentage just to say, let's try to save this amount and live below it. And when you start doing that and that becomes a habit, as your income increases, that will continue to be your lifestyles. You're able to say, we'll up our lifestyle a little bit, but we're always going to live below our means. And that's going to give you so much peace. Step 8 is to save up for big purchases. So when you think of things like, this could be anything from, a TV or a refrigerator to a car, like things that just cost a more substantial amount of money. A lot of people are used to just going into debt for it. And it's like, of course you would. That's what you do. Who has a couple of $1,000s just laying around? But when that's your mindset, and again, you go back into debt and you start using your income to pay payments, that is money that is not working for you. And so getting in the habit of saying, okay, I'm probably going to delay some gratification for this big purchase and actually save up for it and create a sinking fund even in your budget. Have a line item that says, new refrigerator or whatever it is. And it's like, okay, let's save up, a couple $100 a month towards this because we're going to need to replace it in 5 months or whatever. You can do the math, but just to realize that you can look ahead and actually plan out for some of these purchases. And it may mean that you're going to purchase it later than you really want to. But again, it's giving you the power of using cash instead of getting back into that payment cycle, which is just terrible. All right, before I share about number 9, I want to share about one of our sponsors. So you guys, scammers are everywhere. It's crazy. And I'll admit it, I fell for one not too long ago. I was distracted. I got a text from USPS, like, your package is lost, so you need to pay 30 cents to the carrier because your home address was messed up and blah, 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 blah. Have a great day. And I was like, oh my God, USPS, they're so nice. And I went through it all, y'all. God, I can't believe it. And that night, my husband was like, babe, that was a scam. And I was like, no. So listen, they're everywhere. And I will fully admit, I have fell for them. And what is terrible is because most of the time, it's because your information is out there and data brokers will take your cell phone number, your email addresses, all of the stuff, and go and scam you. And it's terrible. This is why I use and recommend Delete Me. And this gives me such peace of mind because Delete Me finds and removes your personal info, like your home address, phone number. So much more from hundreds of data broker websites out there that, again, there's scammers, there's spammers, online thieves. All of this stuff, you guys, and all of the time that it would take to remove your information, Delete Me does it for you. Now, I'm not saying that, USPS wouldn't necessarily have texted me. Who knows how they got my number, but I'm telling you, when you join Delete Me and you look through their profile and where all of your information is, because this is what I've done, it is crazy. All the websites of who has your address or your past address or who knows that you're related to your parents. It's just crazy how much our information is out there. So to protect your information, go to joindeleteme.com/Rachel for 20% off. That's joindeleteme.com/Rachel. All right, now that I mentioned earlier, this final step of not living paycheck to paycheck is a little different than the others because it's not like a concrete action that you can do. It's not like, oh, go and open up your every dollar budget and do this task. Instead, I want you to remember what I said at the beginning of this episode. Behavior is the most important factor. And one behavior that you absolutely have to put into practice along with managing your money is managing your mindset, because this is what will propel you forward as you work the baby steps. And this will also bring you back to the whole reason why you decided to pursue your money goals in the first place. So step 9 is to remember your why. When you want to be wise with your money and you say, okay, I want to get in control of this area of my life, there's usually a reason why. And it may be stress and anxiety. It may be, oh my gosh, I just got married. Or maybe it's we had our first kid. Or maybe it's, gosh, I'm just tired of working this job and I feel like I have to because I have to pay bills. Like whatever that why is that you think, I want to get in control of this part of my life, have your mindset around that, because that's going to help propel you, again, step by step. And in the times where it's hard and the sacrifice is deep, knowing your why is so crucial. Be sure to check out my episode on how to save your first $100,000. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. I recently saw an article with 10 things that used to be free and aren't anymore. So we're going to go through that list and rate them on the most annoying to not. And let me know your thoughts in the comments as we go. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. So I'm going to rate these 1 to 10, 10 being the most annoying and frustrating, and 1 being somewhat understandable. First up is air. That's right. You used to not have to pay to put air in your tires. You go to the gas station, they'd have it there, and you just go. And now it's like a coin machine. You got to have some stuff or even a couple of bucks to fix your tire pressure, where before air was free. Not anymore. It's kind of funny because you're paying for air, but also like it's not that big of a deal. So I'm going to be like a 3 on my annoyance scale. Number 2, the news. Yes, I grew up with, the newspapers and all of that. You could either watch the nightly news or the newspapers. But now, thanks to the internet, you could get news anytime, anywhere. And so for a good bit of time, the news was just free on the internet. And now if you go to certain news outlets like the New York Times and the Washington Post, all of that, there's usually a paywall. You can only read so far down, and then it stops and says you have to have a subscription. And so they charge you a subscription fee, which makes sense because the actual, I know they need to make money because they used to make money on newspapers, and now that's like a thing that is in the past. I understand it, but also it's kind of annoying where you're like, okay, I want to read this article and now I got to pay for my news. My annoyance scale, it's pretty high, y'all. I'm going to go 7. I don't know. I mean, I know you can get a lot of things for free, but if there is a great article out there that we need to know about in the world, I don't want to pay for it. So I'm going to say that. Number 3, airline extras. This is tough. So some flights, they may be cheaper, but so many of the amenities and other things are not included in the price. So checked bags, even some charge for carry-ons, and flight snacks or beverages, and flight entertainment. The list goes on. And so it is kind of frustrating. And I'm gonna put this at a frustrating number. I am gonna say a 9. I don't know why. This bothers me so much. You pay for a ticket, and there is a level of service that you kind of just expect. And when they nickel and dime you for everything, I get very annoyed. So I don't like that one. Number 4, food delivery. You guys, pizza delivery used to be free, and then you would just tip on top of that. That's what it was. But now everything when it comes to delivery, because of app culture, and there's so many restaurants now delivering all of it, they tack on a delivery fee plus the tip. So this is a real thing. Now, I'm not going to be as annoyed with this one because there is a part of me you're paying for the convenience. So I'm going to give it a 2. It doesn't bother me as much because you know what you're paying for. But also, pizza delivery used to be free. Now, the next item on the list will blow you away, but first, I have to tell you about Delete Me, which is one of our sponsors for today. So if you don't remove your personal data from the internet, it's basically like a billboard out there with your name, your address, your email, even your kids' names, and they're out there on sketchy data broker websites. And those data brokers then collect your data, then they sell it, make money off of you, and then that puts you at risk for scams and fraud. But the good news is that Delete Me removes your data to help protect you from phishing, harassment, and other online threats. Winston and I use Delete Me, and it saves us a ton of time and worry. So you guys, your family's safety and financial security, they're way too important to leave exposed. So sign up for Delete Me and take control. Go to joindeleteme.com/Rachel for 20% off, bringing your monthly cost to under $9. Or you can click the link in the description. All right, number 5, plastic bags. Yeah, did you know that some states have banned the use of plastic bags in an effort to reduce environmental damage? And since then, it's become more normal to charge a couple of quarters for a single bag. And Europeans have been charging for shopping carts, baskets, and bags for decades. But America, we're kind of getting there now. So, paying for a bag, that's pretty annoying, in my opinion. I don't know why. I just expect if you're buying something from the retailer, they'll give you a bag to put the things you bought from them in. So, annoyance, I would say maybe an 8, because if you weren't preparing for it, because not all stores do that, it's oh my gosh, I have to carry all this stuff out. I may not have enough if I buy a ton. All right, number 6 is banking. So when the Card Act was passed in 2009, banks started charging fees just for keeping your money in a checking account. And since then, we have seen an increase in service fees, overdraft fees, ATM fees, all of it. So this is kind of one of those things they just nickel and dime you all the way. And I don't like this one either. I'm going to have a lot of annoyance in this whole list. I'm going to say an 8 or a 9, because part of me is you're giving someone your business. And so there are services that, I don't know, to me, I'm I expect that. If you want me to keep my money in your bank, I should be able to use an ATM to get my money out, because I'm going to be putting more money back in your bank that you're using my money to go and lend out and make a ton of money off of my money is really how it works. So I'm annoyed by it. I'm going to go 8. Number 7, water. So at some restaurants, you have to specify that you want tap water, or automatically they may bring you a bottle of still or sparkling, and that will get tacked onto your bill. And this is very common in big cities if you're traveling around the U.S. and outside the U.S. as well. This one doesn't annoy me as much. I'm going to go 2, because if you are getting a bottled water, or a glass bottle or sparkling, yeah, there's a part of me that I'm like, yeah, that's probably a nicer quality of water than just from the tap. But you do have to specify, so make sure you do. But usually a great waiter or waitress is going to ask you beforehand, so that's not a problem. Number 8, school sports. So back in the day, parents would have to cover the cost of gear and maybe a uniform. But now pay-to-play policies are requiring fees simply for students just to participate. So this puts really talented kids at a disadvantage if their parents can't afford these dues, and it has just gotten more and more expensive. The whole sports thing and youth thing, it kind of drives me nuts. So I'm going to go 8 out of my annoyance for this, because I think I see the heart of it. I have so many friends and they talk about it so openly, but the amount of money that some of these sports industries make off of the kids is insane. It is absolutely insane. And the parents are right in the scoop of it all in the flurry and the anxiety. But then to do it on top of just their school, especially if they go to a public school, and it's this is part of your education and your livelihood as a youth. And now we're having to tack on more fees above that. That's kind of annoying. So I'm annoyed by it. I'm going to go 8. Number 9, hotel amenities. So resort fees have become more popular over the past couple of decades, covering things like the pool and gym use, newspaper delivery. Looky there, we're back to the news. And there's also processing fees, very common now, which can bump your total price up by $100 or more. And some hotels have even added an Airbnb style cleaning fee to the bill, which is wild. So yeah, it is crazy. Anytime we book a hotel and you see the price of the room, and then when you get to the final paying, lines, y'all. Seriously, 4 to 5 lines, including taxes, but it's just all of this that gets added on. And it's wild. And I think they can just do it, right? And I get why some of it, part of it, especially if you're staying at a nicer hotel, there's going to be nicer amenities and all of that. I guess I get it. I'm going to go 5 here. It is kind of annoying. I may go 6. I'm going to go 6. Middle of the road annoyed, but a little bit more than that. So we'll go 6. All right, number 10, directory assistance. So you used to be able to dial 411 to get someone's phone number, but now Verizon charges $1.99 for directory assistance. Okay, I didn't even know this existed. I'm going to give it a 1. This doesn't bother me in my life at all, because why would you not just Google it? I don't know. This one I don't get, but it is funny that it's a service. So yeah, if you're paying for that service, don't pay for that service. Just Google. So times are changing, you guys. It just does feel like life is getting more and more expensive, and you may not be able to control how the hotel is going to spend their money after you pay all those fees, but you can always control the money that you spend. And so making sure that you have a budget, that you are in control of your money is key, and Every Dollar is the best budgeting app out there. So I'll put a link down below to check it out. But if you're not budgeting, you need to have control of your money. And some people are taking this shift to the extreme. So make sure to check out 11 items frugal people are not buying anymore. So I'll put a link down below. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love.